In this video, we're going to look at one of the lesser known features in AdapTable, but one which is quite useful, particularly if you're doing a lot of editing or your grid has lots of changes. And it's also something that is used particularly by support teams, and that is data change history, where AdapTable allows you to, it creates a screen that lets you see any changes that are made to your data in AG Grid throughout the session. It's all available here in our documentation, but as always, it's easier to take a look. So let's open this demo here in full screen. And we can see that we've got some ticking data. And when we open up the data change monitor, we can see a grid, if we just make it a bit bigger, that basically shows me every change that's made. And each time there's a change made, it gets added here, so you can see the row, the column, the old value, the new value, etc. And so therefore, for instance, if in this column here, I change JavaScript to hello, there we are. I can see it's already this one here, because we've got ticking data, and we can see that it's a user edit rather than a ticking source. So that's the basic data change history, and obviously you can suspend it. So therefore it means that any changes which happen won't be recorded. You can deactivate to lose them all, or you can resume to turn tracking on again. And you can also set up AdapTable that it's either active by default or that it needs to be turned on. So that's the basic data change. But as always, there's lots of different configuration options that you can do in order to make it more useful to your particular use case. So the next one is, well, do I want to listen to every change? So here, let's look at some code. And in this example here, this is the data change history options. You can see we've turned it on by default, but we've also provided a implementation for a function property, which is show data change. And what that does is that allows you to say whether a particular change should be visible or not. So in this case here, we've said we only want to see edits rather than ticking data, and we don't want to see any edits to the updated or language column. So again, let's see what we mean. So in fact, therefore, there's been no changes so far, obviously, because we haven't made any, and we're only interested in ticking data changes. Let me just make this a bit smaller so I can get it. Actually, I will do. Let's hide the code so we've got a bit more space. So now what that means is if I was, say, to change GitHub stars, that does appear. But if I was to change language, which we said shouldn't appear, when I make this hello, it no longer appears. So essentially you've got control over which changes appear or not. There's also one more, well, there's a couple more things you can do, but we'll look at one, which is the change history button. And that is we allow you to provide as many buttons as you want, because essentially it's an action column. Action columns in AdapTable are a really nice way of you providing custom buttons to do particular custom actions. And because undo is the most common, we actually provide this as an action. So again, if we go into this one here, we open it full screen, we look at the code, we can see that here we've created a change history button. We've provided it with a style. We've given it a different label to say whether to undo or not. But most importantly, we've provided the undo action, which now means if I go into my data change, we will now see a button. So for instance, if I change stimulus to hello, it appears here. I have a button. It looks the way we wanted it to. And obviously I can undo. So when I click undo, you can see it goes back to stimulus. You can, of course, provide your own implementation if you want to do show me or send it or whatever. So you don't have to use the action. You can do as many things as you want with those buttons, but that's a fairly typical use case where essentially if a user can have a last look at anything he's done and he can undo it. And AdapTable's clever enough to know that if the same cell has changed more than once, you can only undo the last change and not any previous changes to that cell. Okay, so that's data change history. Hope that's interesting. Any questions, please get in touch. Or likewise, if you'd like a personalised one-to-one demo, or if you'd like to try our free, a no obligation trial license, again, we look forward to hearing from you and showing you how AdapTable can help you. Thank you for watching.